Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today's episode is sponsored by Big Ben's Dessert. We have two very special guests with us today. We have Mr. Billy and Lisa Mitchell. How are you guys doing?
Good, very good. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate you both taking the time to have a conversation. To give the audience like a backstory, me and you met last year, Billy, when we were sitting down at Grand Central, grabbing something to eat and just having a conversation. And just, you were very friendly to me and just telling me to go check out some places while I'm in the area. Mm-hmm. I actually went to what beach was that? Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. Went to Santa Monica Beach and we had some downtime. Went out there, but that's I remember. Just I appreciate you for just taking that time to sit and have a conversation with me. Yeah. Because a lot of times you like you said I think you were actually on your lunch break or something.
Yeah, I was on my lunch break from one project. I can't remember what it was, but I was definitely having my lunch break.
Yeah, absolutely. But I appreciate you for taking time. Yeah. And then of course when I reach out to you over social media, you would hit me back, and you always trying to connect me with other people and everything. So I definitely appreciate you for doing it, because you didn't have to do any of that at all, and to be willing to have a conversation. And when you even mentioned it, I was like, you know what? I would love to have you guys on and kind of like share your story and just talk about the beautiful city of LA, because it is a beautiful city, and like I said, I love being out here. The only thing for me, I miss my babies, being away from them.
Of course. Yeah.
But other than that, man, we've been having a great time and just really working a lot and making a lot of great connections. So it's really been a fun time. Yeah. So kind of.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. So starting out, can you guys tell us like where you're originally from? Or you guys are like both born and raised here?
Yeah. I was born and raised in LA. Okay. We lived in Echo Park when it wasn't so trendy and so hipster. So we lived out there in the 80s when there was a lot of crime and drug use. But then my parents, they moved us into the San Fernando Valley, and that's basically where I lived for most of my life and still live there with my husband. Yeah. 5 houses down from my sister.
Yeah, and I was same here. I was born and raised here in LA. I was born over in the Wilshire district. In a house over there, off of just in a little house. Mom had a midwife, and so I was born there. And then same thing in a sense, as young, real little, moved to Burbank, California, and then ended up in Studio City, North Hollywood area, and that's where I pretty much grew up my whole youth.
We actually we were in Burbank. Was it Saturday morning? We had to shoot an interview out there. We had the young lady that we interviewed. She rented out a office space for us to sit out there and have a conversation. So we went to Burbank as well. Didn't know anything about it, but it was a nice side of town as well.
Yeah. So one thing like Burbank, they got the Burbank Airport, which is usually a lot easier than LAX. So two airports, LAX, Burbank. But
so do most people try to prefer going to the Burbank airport?
I go there as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, especially people that end up if you're going to reside in the valley, if you're coming from somewhere else, then Burbank's it's got it's an old school kind of smaller airport.
Yeah, LAX is, man. It's
oh man, it's crazy. Yeah,
it is.
Did you happen to go by the WB lot? And Universal, did you get a chance to see those two lots while you were?
I don't think we did.
We didn't in Burbank.
WB meaning Warner Brothers.
Yeah, we didn't see those lots. I don't remember seeing those on the way from. You mean from the app coming from the airport?
No, while you were in Burbank, because that's where they're located.
Oh, we didn't see it. I just remember really when we went in. I can't even remember exactly what it was. Some little office space we went to. And then we came back. While we were out there, we went to the Walmart out there. We went to a Walmart, and there was a Best Buy and this little place.
Oh yeah, you were at the Empire Center, which is.
We know that place very well.
So is it not close to?
It's not too far from that. So you weren't too far from the studio lots.
Yeah.
And we didn't get a chance to stop. I wish we'd have knew it. We would have tried to stop by there. But as soon as we left there, we had to go back to Pasadena to the comedy club. We were at Ice House Comedy Club.
Ice House,
yeah, we were out there for the festival. I tell you something that's unique that It's kind of strange just going to that Walmart. So I left my belt at home. We go on Walmart, and you guys have in the Walmart anyway. You try to go get a belt, and they got them locked up in. They got them locked up, and I'm like,
well, yeah, because of the smash. I believe
Yeah.
from the smash and grab, people just grab it.
I was just like, what is this? I was like, you mean to tell me I can't just come in here and grab a belt? Because it's South Carolina, it's just wide open. You just go grab one out the rack, and then you go.
Yeah.
And then you gotta push the button and wait for somebody to come get it. But the young lady that was over there, it was two people in front of us. So when she opened up the thing for socks or boxes what the other guy wanted, she had to take it all the way to the front. And we were trying to just find other employees to get it for us. And it was just like, we don't have the keys. So I was just like, you know what, man? I ain't
You're
even
like, I'm going to Target. I'm going to
That's
Target.
exactly what we did. That's
what you guys
exactly what we
did?
did. Yeah. I went to Target. Because there was another lady, she said the same thing. She was just like, forget about it. I just go to Target. So, but I didn't know it was like, so it must be really bad out here to where they lock
Sometimes, yeah.
everything up. You know what somebody else told us though?
That's funny, man.
Is it true? 'Cause I had them in my old job. My coworkers say they said something about in California, like if you steal something, they just let you go, and it's like you don't get anything for it or something.
It's depending on the amount of money, it just turns into like it's a misdemeanor or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think even when they go and people go and steal those, all that stuff. Half the time it is over that amount, but I think they just just take the risk. But if it's under a certain amount, then it's just like a slap on the wrist. They may get processed in, and then they just get let go or something.
Because I was about to say, I was like, so you mean to tell me somebody can just walk in, go grab a TV, leave, and just nothing happens? I'm like, that don't sound right.
Yeah, well, they're like this. They're told by certain places, like security, like just let them go. Don't touch them, don't try to apprehend them, don't do nothing.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
That's why a lot of these jewelry owners and some of the situations lately, they're taking it into their own hands, and some of those people wish they hadn't attempted that with them.
Yeah, I don't, because especially if you're, like you said, a business owner and somebody steals something that you work so hard for, like, you mean to just tell me you just let this person go and not, try to take it into your own hand? But it's I was like, man, it's
wild times.
It is. It's crazy how so many different the laws in each state are just so different from each other. And like out here, of course, weed is legal. In South Carolina, we're still traditional in the Bible Belt.
Right.
You can't do that out there with us at all. You're definitely gonna get arrested if they catch. Oh yeah, it's
hold that different some demographic or
It is.
It's totally different. Going back to you guys' story. So growing up in LA, what was like each of your childhood like?
Oh, I'm gonna start.
Yeah,
Okay. So my parents are refugees from the Khmer Krom. So there was a genocide going on in Cambodia, and America said, we're gonna open our borders to you guys as refugees, so come to our country. And so my parents were part of that group. So with knowing that my parents are immigrants, funny enough, I had a very traditional American childhood. So every night we had dinner together. We didn't talk much because we're Asian, we don't talk very much. So it was a very quiet dinner, but we sat there and we ate together every night. My mom cooked dinner every night. We had neighbors across the street, neighbors all over, the neighborhood that had children our age. So we'd go outside and play. Before the sun went down, we just had to make sure that we were home. School was within walking distance to my house. So my mom would walk me to school every morning, and then I would walk home myself. We'd go out, ride bikes. So I felt that my childhood was very traditional in that sense, but when it came to homework and school activities, my parents they weren't very aware with that, or aware of how to handle that situation because it was the first time for them.
Right.
So it was up to me to take care of it on my own. So when I had homework and I needed help, I would sometimes just go to my dad and see if he knew how to do it. And sometimes he did, and sometimes he didn't. But anything that needed to be signed, like field trip slips or permission slips, I would have to tell my parents, you need to sign here, or sometimes I would just, sign it myself. So,
a lot of kids did.
Yeah.
Man. They said they had that grade or something.
I was a pro at 4.3. Not the best kid in school.
So my childhood was fine. My parents' relationship, though, that's a different story. They were here in America when they met, but their marriage was arranged, as it traditionally is done in Cambodia back in that time. Okay. So the first time they ever met was on their wedding day, and and so
heavy.
That's different.
Yeah, and so my parents' personalities, they're very conflictive. So I think that's the best word I can use with how their relationship was and how they interacted with each other when we were growing up. So,
I guess because they're that's part of Cambodian.
Mm-hmm.
Do they stay together even though they don't? I guess bond or whatever it is. It's not through this traditional. Well, it's traditional. So did they just stay married even though they clashed?
Yeah. And so I even still think that's the mentality for even Americans. Stay together for the better of the kids, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Even though them staying together is detrimental and more harmful to the kids.
Right.
So I remember also growing up, my mom would say, we're going to get divorced and she would point at me, when you turn 18, right? And so like 12 or 13 at the time, just fucking get divorced now. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So just do it, because we're not in Cambodia, we're in America. But I think there is also a very financial dependency that my mother had on my father, because he was the breadwinner. And she stayed at home and stayed with the kids, but she also, instead of working in because my mom knows how to sew, instead of working in a sweatshop, she had industrial-sized machines in the house, and she would sew while she stayed home with the kids. So she brought in some income, but it wasn't enough to support the whole family or to even support herself, because she's making t-shirts for 10 cents a piece.
Gotcha.
And she would have to turn out 2,000 pieces at the end of the week to get $200. And so that's not enough to support 3 children and herself. So she stayed with, I think, my father for the children, but also because of the financial dependency of her being able to survive in this country and get through on a day-to-day basis. So and then us being Asian, go be a doctor, go be a dentist, go be a lawyer, go be something.
Accountant.
An accountant. Go open a donut shop, because I'm Cambodian. But I ended up going to UCLA.
Okay.
I was pre-med, but fell out of that, and I ended up pursuing a career in the nonprofit world for children. It was after school. Well, first it was UCLA Unicamp, which was a program where the college students take kids at or below the poverty line up to summer camp. And so sometimes that was the first time these kids had ever heard a running river or seen stars at night, because there's so much light pollution in LA. And then after that, I worked for After School All Stars, which was an after-school program for middle school students. Got burnt out of that, and then I ended up pursuing a career in set decorating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh man, for me, growing up here in LA, my parents were divorced at a young age, and then I grew up with my dad and my stepmom, and my sister, my biological sister Raina, and my stepbrother and stepsister here in the valley. Pretty kind of a little crazy upbringing, you know, a lot of, you know, little turmoil in the household, you know, alcoholic father, and he was in the studios as well, growing up. So not around a whole lot, or he wasn't around, you know, a whole lot, but overall pretty you know, growing up, just, you know, like Lisa said, you know, for me it was just like, oh, get off school, time to go skateboard, you know, just go riding bikes, you know, and that was the cool thing about growing up here. You know, we had a lot of liberty and freedom, and just be like, boom, go out and do your thing, and that's what we did, you know. But yeah, that was my like childhood, you know.
Did your relationship with your dad, did it improve as you got older? I know you said he was an alcoholic, but is it?
Yeah, it definitely improved, because I believe I was 14. You know, he made some changes in his life, and you know, AA came into the picture, and we started going to meetings as kids and stuff, and so we started to learn about it, you know, and just how the effects of it, you know, that it had on our family and growing up and stuff. So yeah, so I would say it definitely improved.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And we were able to spend more time together, you know, as me as a teenager, going, you know, road trips to like the Southwest. He was big into like silversmithing, like this ring, and you know, just bonding time. So it was cool. Yeah, and yeah.
Did either of you see, well, at least I know you said that your mother did some sewing and she made a little bit of money off of it, so that's a form of like entrepreneurship. But did either of you experience anything else that was kind of like entrepreneurial from your families?
I think for me, I was always exposed to just hard work and grinding. So my dad, he got a job at a bank, and he worked his way up from bookkeeping to being a vice president of one of the departments. I think it's like financial wealth department. At the same time, while he was working full time, he went to school to get his bachelor's degree in accounting. So I was exposed to a man, my father, who would leave the house at 5:30 a.m., wouldn't come home until about 10:30 p.m. because he was just working to make money for the family, and then pursuing a degree so that he can make even more money for the family. And then there's my mother, who would be up at 6:30 a.m., get us ready for school, push us out the door, and then she would stay up until about 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. as well, just sewing clothes so she can make as much money as she could for the week. So I think for me it was, I always was exposed to the grind.
Yeah.
And I think from there, that's where you know, it's always a question of, is it nature or is it nurtured? I feel like I was nurtured into seeing that if you put in the hard work, you can reap the benefits of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, I guess as far as that goes, it would be like, you know, when I was a kid, I would go on the road trips with my dad, and we'd go to Colorado, and I loved it there. So then when I graduated junior high, I was able to move there and live there with a roommate, which was a friend of his son, and he was huge. He was big into just outdoors, and then he was a lumberjack, and so he would cut down trees, and he would sell firewood to to the little town there. And so when I moved out there, like I had to, you know, stay busy too, and I would help him go cut these trees down and chop and deliver firewood to the town. So it developed hard work, you know, from the get-go at 16 years old. And ironically today I'm a, you know, greensman, you know, and that's where I kind of got my bearings, and, you know, my feet wet to work hard. And then from there, and then after that, you know, after I was 18, I got into the studios and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Lisa, please educate me. And this might be a silly question. So, what as Cambodian, what's like the I guess, like the native language? Is it
The native language is Khmer.
Khmer?
Yeah.
So when you were growing up in your household, is that what your parents spoke?
Yeah.
And so when did you learn to, speak English? Because if you're hearing that in the household, I'm assuming that's what you're
Yeah.
going to learn. Like, so how did you balance out, speaking Khmer and English?
Right. So my situation is peculiar because my earliest memory is me speaking Khmer with my neighbors and with my mother and my father and my sisters. I was fluent in it. And then when we moved to the San Fernando Valley, which I was probably around 3 or 4, my mother started speaking completely English to me, and my father just all English to me so that I could learn the language and not be in ESL, English as a second language class. So even though I was fluent in the language, when I could start talking, I have no recollection of the language. So my parents will speak it. They still speak Khmer to each other.
But you don't know it?
I don't understand a lick that they're
Wow.
saying. Yeah.
Maybe a few words.
I pretend
Oh.
if I do say.
Because you don't even say, you don't like have an accent or anything.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I was gonna say, I asked that because my coworker I used to work with, he was from Peru, and when he got here, he couldn't speak English. So he said when he was in class because I think because he moved, when he left Peru, went to Miami before he moved to South Carolina. I think he was maybe like 9 years old, 13 years old, but he couldn't speak English at all. So he would just sit in class and wouldn't know anything. And he said the way that he learned it was just because he would watch like cartoons like Blue's Clues or cartoons that were just
Simple.
Yeah.
something simple, and that's how he learned. And he said it took him a while, but just watching those cartoons like that is what taught him how to speak English. And now with his kids, he said in their household he only speaks Spanish because he wants his children to know how to speak Spanish. But outside of there, when they go anywhere else outside of the home, they speak English.
Yeah. So smart. Yeah. So my dad, he's fluent in English, but he was fluent in English in Cambodia before he came to America because he attended a university in Cambodia when he was probably 12 or 13. So he learned the language, and when you hear my father talk English, his accent isn't as strong or bold as my mother's accent because he's known the language since he was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, when you hear her mother talk, like how you're saying, there's no accent, or from Lisa, like her mom, you could tell.
So I think that my native or my first language is English. Even though I remember speaking Khmer, I don't remember any of it. I don't know any of it. Yeah.
Yeah, my coworker, you can clearly tell he has an accent when you talk to him. But I mean, he speaks English really well, but he has that accent to him. But it was just I was curious about this. Like, what do you speak when you're growing up in your household, and then when you get here, like how does that change? And do you remember both? And, and even with other some of our other coworkers, like they speak Spanish to each other. Yeah. And sometimes I stand right there and I'm just like, all right, I don't know what's. I took 2 Spanish 101 and 102 in college, but I really don't remember much of it. I had to like pick out certain words that I remember.
Of course, yeah.
But other than that,
if you don't use it on a daily basis, it's hard to retain it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So for both of you, like what would you say your family's expectations may have been for you? I know you were saying like before, like doctor, lawyer, or something like that. But what was those? Did they have any type of expectations of what they wanted you both to become?
Well, I guess for me, like my dad, he knew that I wasn't really going anywhere, as far as like say college or anything like that. I didn't graduate high school. I did get my GED, just because I wanted to get some kind of certificate, I see my friends graduating up there on stage. It was kind of an eye-opener, but so he got me into the studio biz, he's okay. And I think in his head, he's like, this kid needs a little something to focus on. So at 18 years old, he got me into the motion picture industry as a set dresser, and been in ever since. But as far as expectations, I think he was just hoping that I was just gonna pull through and be a decent human being.
This is an expectation.
That's all. But that's all I can
Don't
really.
cheat, don't steal, don't kill people.
Yeah.
That's a great expectation.
Yeah.
Be a decent human
But
being.
So, it was something that was that always once you got into it? Was that something that you always wanted to do, or just like I said, once your dad introduced it to you, do you just want to do just stick with it? Or was there any other thing that could have that piqued your interest that you might have been interested in?
I mean, I was really heavily into skateboarding, but really into it. And at that point, I was still skateboarding a lot, and I was thinking maybe I could, get sponsored or what have you. But that was about the only thing that I had thought of that would be, something to look forward to, or make money from, that I enjoyed, But then once I got into the studios, I just stuck with it, and
So is that how both of you both of you met? It's just like working on sets.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
yeah,
that's
We
working
worked
on the
together.
set.
Yeah. And he brought me some nachos.
and the rest is history.
Yeah,
I love me some fake cheese.
processed cheese, and that did it.
Yeah.
But so I just started, and it was nothing like, it was just like my dream, or but once I got into it, and I enjoyed it, it was creative, being able to be creative, and it wasn't your normal 9 to 5.
So how long have both of you been in your respective fields of work?
So I've been doing it for 12 years total. For major theatrical release features, so movies that you see in the theaters, I've been doing it for 5 years total. So before the major theatrical release features, with a big studio behind it to just distribute it, they were always independent films, and wherever they ended up was a crapshoot, and usually it would be Lifetime, or there was no Netflix back then, so or
that's true.
there was Netflix, but they rented out DVDs versus streaming and making their own content right now. So before that, it was just totally indie movies, and so I've been in it for almost a decade, or for over a decade.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Like I said, I got in at 18 years old, and so that marks 28 years for me as of today. Yeah.
As of today?
Oh, not as of today.
Oh, I thought you said this is the anniversary.
Good point though, boy. Now I think about it, because I did get into the studios in November. I believe it was November 18th when I was 18. So, close to it. So maybe I am looking at 29 years. I don't know. I think it's close. Yeah, maybe 29. But yeah.
So what's had your job? What are some places that had your job allow you to see? Like, do you guys get to travel with the work that you do, or is it typical like here, or do you go all over?
Yeah, I get to travel, go on locations. I haven't been to very many distant locations or far locations, but been offered, Hawaii. I couldn't do it because of my kids, but you're able to, go to different destinations. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And
So I do travel a lot. My position is considered head of department. So if the production designer is into it and has a little bit of pull, they can bring me with them. So I've been where I've worked in Boston, New Orleans, Atlanta, and I think that's it.
Maybe some little outside of LA and
Yeah.
within California.
Yeah, I mean, we did Salton Sea,
Oh yeah.
which is a gnarly place. Bombay Beach.
Bombay Beach.
Yeah, so
No man's land.
Bombay Beach back in the 50s or 60s, I forgot what. It used to be the place to vacation.
It was very like it was like a actor kind of getaway.
Yeah.
Like, but it was like Sonny Bono and I think
and
some
Cher.
It was just like a fancy kind of.
Yeah. So because it was
Paradise.
it was a man-made lake that is, and the lake is below sea level. So they filled this lake with water, I think from the Colorado River, but because it's below sea level, when the water evaporates, when there's nowhere for the water to go and circulate. So
It's stagnant.
So it's stagnant water, and so it's become so toxic that the fish that lived in that lake died because of all the poison.
Yeah. I went to visit her and we went to go have lunch on the beach and you look at the sand and you're like, well, that's not sand, that's all fish bones.
It's fish bones,
yeah, straight
it
up,
smells.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
so
it
the
was a
place
trip.
gets so windy as well that it kicks up the toxins and it makes the air quality in that area not a good place to be. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
man.
a very interesting place.
Yeah,
Like
very interesting.
it's some you have to say like one man for himself, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like you gotta be careful, you know.
Yeah.
How long does it typically take to I guess decorate and build the sets for what the work that you guys do?
I think for my side, it's dictated by how much time the production wants to give us. So I've seen a set get built in 3 weeks and then I have 3 days to dress it and then we're shooting it. Or I've seen them take 6 to 10 weeks to build a set and then I get to have it for 2 weeks and then we're shooting it. So it all depends on the scale.
Yeah, I was
Of the
gonna say
show?
it depends on the scale
Yeah.
of the set, what's gonna be shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all varies. Yeah.
Do you guys ever have any interaction with like celebrities or anything on these sets, or is it pretty much just with your coworkers and you just doing your work, or do you ever have you encountered any?
For me, it's a mix of both. I think for me, it depends on how interested the actors are into the set dressing of the sets. For example, on Cake, Jennifer Aniston was curious about how we were going to set dress the house that she was living in, and so what we ended up doing was I put together lookbooks or look boards is what I would call them.
Storyboards?
Look boards, more of pictures of everything that I'm bringing onto the set, so that overall the directors, the producers, the designer, and the actors can see what the set will look like. And so in that moment, she was visiting the house that we were shooting, and she was just curious about what we were bringing onto the set, and so I just pulled out the look board for her so she could take a look at it. But it all depends on if they're interested or not.
Do they typically leave that type of stuff up to I guess, like in that situation, when they the decision of how the set is supposed to look, is that up to her or?
It depends. So typically the visual story that's being told in a show is dictated by the production designer. So what usually happens is they'll pull up reference photos and ideas, and if there's anything specific that they want onto the set, they'll shoot that over to me so I can try to find it.
Okay.
So usually it's the production designer that kind of dictates what's going to go on the set, but there's a lot of other voices that come into play. So if there is an actor that specifically does want something on the set, they'll either talk to me or the designer or a producer, and we'll have that discussion on if we feel it's appropriate for the set, and if they feel that it is, then I go find it.
They could definitely have some pull,
Yeah.
if it came to a certain,
Yeah.
some. But like, for instance, I was thinking like, when I would have like say some kind of interaction with the actor, right? And one was I worked on the movie Call of the Wild. like about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it was with Harrison Ford. And I remember one of the opening scenes was
He's been in it a long time.
yeah. And he comes in, you know, and that film takes place in the Yukon, so he comes out into this kind of like opening from the woods, and he kind of comes, you know, through some trees, but they wanted like the one tree or branch to kind of be in the shot, but then him going like that to see, you know, what they're looking at. So I was like right there out of frame, and then they're like, you know, have resistance for when he pushes the branch, you know, so as he's pushing the branch, I'm like pushing against, and you know, there's an example of some kind of interaction, you know, and then there's obviously behind, you know, the camera too, or you know, or you know, in the lunch line, like, hey, what's up, or you know, sometimes.
Have you ever been, I guess, starstruck by any of that, or just, oh man, I can't believe I saw this person, or do you just
Well, I mean, for like that day in particular, like I'm being asked to, you know, do something with Harrison Ford. I mean, I'm like, well, I'm working right here with Han Solo, you know, like I mean, that doesn't happen every day. So not starstruck, but you know, definitely pretty cool, you know, for sure.
Yeah, I've only had I get a chance, you covering, you know, working with the Hornets, you get a chance to see, you know, professional athletes up close. But the one guy, this was almost 10 years ago, when I was just still interning in college, the one guy that I saw up close after the game was over with was Michael Jordan. And that was crazy. It didn't seem real because it was, I knew he owned the team, so we were just headed to the media room. We were headed to the meeting room, and I'm going this way, and next thing you know, he had security around him. He's going that way. So when I walk by, I'm just like, I don't even know what to say because I'm like a 22-year-old kid, and
like just remember seeing him as a youngster.
It was crazy. Yeah. And then, but other than that, man, I tell people all the time, these athletes are just regular people. They got a regular life. Their financial situation might be different. Yeah. But other than that, they're just like anybody else. Now this past January, the guy that I saw, because when I was interning years ago before I graduated, was LeBron. I didn't get a chance to see him back then because he had just went back to Cleveland, but he was hurt at the time. I think he was rehabbing from like a back injury or something for like 2 weeks. So this time when he's of course playing for the Lakers and he came down, and I was like, this guy, like, he's still like the face of the NBA. It's like the whole sports world gravitates towards him. Like it revolves around him. Like they let the fans come in early, and you just see him just warming up, you know, getting his shots up, and then dunking the ball, and just like everybody just. It was crazy. It was even after. So the Hornets are not a good basketball team. They've been bad for a while.
Right.
So pretty much.
I actually kind of forgot about it when you mentioned it. I was like, well, I remember collecting some cards back in the day.
No, they done fell on hard times now.
Oh no.
So when they were getting blew out. Normally a lot of times when a team's getting blown out, like fans leave early and just go home just to beat traffic. But when the Lakers were beating the Hornets and LeBron was there, everybody stayed the whole entire game. And they just once the game was over with, he did some interviews with like some of the commentators. Everybody just stood there and just watched him. And it was like Steph Curry is great. You know, you got Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, all of these guys, but LeBron is still the face of the league because he's the guy. I haven't seen that where everybody just watches every single thing that he does.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't say I was starstruck, but I was just like, man, this guy really is like the face of the league.
Yeah. And there is something mesmerizing with watching somebody in their element, right? Yeah. Watching somebody who's a master at their craft and performing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't help but watch it. It's just amazing to see.
It's like one thing to see it like on TV, but when you actually see it in person,
it's different.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah. Because
you can feel the energy.
They just in the zone, and you know what they're doing. Like, what's that one actor's name? The tall dude,
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. Yeah, we did some reshoots for some movie. I think probably coming out soon, and like it had to do with space. God, I can't remember the name of anyways, but there was some people that, you know, or somebody had their phone on and the phone went off and man, he just stepped to the side and he was just called out, no more, turn your phones off. Like, I'm not here, you know, and he's so professional, you know, and he did it respectfully, but he was just like, that dude, when he got into the zone, like, it was in the zone, you know, and then, you know, some phone goes off and he was just like, no more of that, you know.
Oh man,
but he was an example.
shook if that would have been my phone.
Oh, dude, your heart sinks to the whole deal. Like, you feel like you got just, you know, busted by the cops, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
that feeling, you know. So, but he was somebody like to watch them in their element is really,
it's
really cool,
man. It's special, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one person that I hate that I never got a chance to see play, my all-time favorite player was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
He when they came
Rest
to
in
Los
peace.
Angeles my senior year in college, he wasn't there because he was hurt. But I always said, I was like, man, I would, you know, because we would get a chance to go, you know, talk to the players and coaches after the game. I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to meet him yet because I might be afraid that he might, you know, be a quote unquote a-hole. Because you hear stories from his teammates of like how he was so committed to it and he was just cold blooded and you see the results on the court while he was so great.
Dedication.
And I was just like, man, I don't know if I really want to meet him, man. 'Cause what if I'm just still a kid in college? And what if I rub him the wrong way or something? He just brushes me off.
Yeah.
And I hate I never had a chance, you know, openly like to meet him. But that was my all-time favorite player.
I actually saw a funny clip on Instagram of him against LeBron, and he was just LeBron was getting stung, and he's like, "You can't score on me," and it was just, and you know, everybody knows if you know anything about Kobe, the amount of work he put into his craft, and he's like, "I've seen you at practice." He's like, "You didn't do as much as me,"
Exactly.
You know? And that's why people would say, "Well, why are you hogging the ball?" or this, and that. And I used to think that too, but then now it's like, oh, you realize like because. He just knows what he's doing.
He's just there working,
putting in that work.
Yeah.
And the results show.
Yeah.
And on the Lakers note, growing up here in the Valley, my father was friends with Chick Hearn's daughter. Her name was Samantha Hearn. And so me growing up as a kid, my sister and I, my dad would take us up to his house every Christmas. And he lived up in the hills in Sherman Oaks and it overlooked the valley. You know, he had the whole infinity pool, the whole deal. But his wife was really nice, Marge Hearn. But we used to go there every Christmas.
Nice.
And spend Christmas, you know, one of the nights there with their family. Yeah. He was not, Chick Hearn wasn't the most kid savvy, but he was all right, you know. But yeah, I just remember his whole room, but you know, with the basketballs and everything, it was cool.
With so much to do in LA, you know, you got the bright lights, with the celebrities and sports. Is sports still is that like the driving force here in LA because there's so much to do? Would you say this is like a sports culture or just like, you know, just movies and with Hollywood and everything?
I think, well,
Yeah,
we're not
both,
into
but-
sports, but I
I do like sports. Jesus, I don't know if the Dodgers is it.
I'm
I'm not a huge sports fan to where I'm like keeping stats and stuff, but I do enjoy it. But
I do think that there is
like,
a huge sports cult out here, I guess you would
Yeah.
call it. Kings, there's
Dodgers,
diehard, Lakers. Like
Lakers, Clippers.
my friend is.
The Angels, is that a...
See, that's the whole thing. Is like these Angels, they always want to affiliate themselves with LA, but LA, they're in Anaheim. So it's like they used to be called the Anaheim Angels. Now they're like, you know, the Los Angeles Angels. They're not. They're not LA. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know if it was a marketing thing or what. But it's like they've changed their names a few times. But they're Anaheim.
When I think of sports, like when I think about Los Angeles, the team that comes to my mind is like Lakers. But I know you guys have like, you got the Chargers now, you got the Rams, you got the Dodgers. Out of all of those,
Galaxy or soccer.
see, I don't really know much about soccer. But
Talk about a huge following. It's
Yeah.
Football now, like LAFC, LA Football Club. There's a huge following, and same with Galaxy. It's really picking up.
We got a team, even though we're in South Carolina, of course, Carolina, we got a soccer team out in Charlotte now.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers, he's like, man, dude, you think football is big? He said soccer is
Worldwide.
like massive. Yeah. He said, and he's like, my coworker out telling me is from Peru. He's like, this is the only place in the world that calls football,
Soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said anywhere else they call football, football is, soccer everywhere. You get what I'm saying. Yeah.
I do, yeah.
And I almost forgot to mention it because it's like not really in the whole, you know what I mean? It's like football, basketball,
For Americans.
baseball, you know what I'm saying? Like it's soccer. I was like, oh yeah, soccer,
So for you guys, being born and raised here, did you ever think about a potential of like living anywhere else, or was it always just going to be about just staying here?
For me, when I graduated college, I didn't want to be here in LA, but I just always found my way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you never lived anywhere else though, even temporarily?
I've traveled, but never really lived outside of Los Angeles. I mean, other than living outside of Los Angeles because of work now, Boston, Atlanta, because I'll be gone for, at the very least, 4 months, at the very most 8 or 9 months, but yeah.
At a time, or? Okay.
Yeah.
And I lived in Colorado, like I said earlier, when I was 16, just because I love fishing and just getting outdoors and stuff. And so I lived there for 1 year, but then after that, came back to LA, and I've been here since. Yeah.
I really like it out here. I really enjoy it, even just like this scenery that we have now. It's like, man, it's cool to be out here and just the opportunities to meet people.
And the weather's obviously been nice.
Oh man, we left home Friday, early Friday morning. It was like down in the 30s.
Yeah.
Oh.
So then we get off the plane and we get here, man. The sunshine,
Yeah,
palm
sunshine,
trees,
palm trees.
70. I was like, man, I'm with this.
Convertibles.
Man, yeah. It was like, man, it was.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
a
That
difference.
type of. It's something about just cold weather to me though.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. The only thing though, man, is like I had a lot of coworkers that moved from the West Coast, and they come out and say, man, just like the cost of living is why so many people move our way, because some of the stories we hear about stuff, and it's just like, man, you'd be surprised. And they were telling us what they pay in mortgages and rent out here, and one of my coworkers, I remember she said that her family, they used to like rent out rooms in their homes
To make.
just to make it.
Yeah.
Has it always been that way, like this expensive to where like it?
No, it's the cost of living here. In the past 10 years has just skyrocketed. It's just gone up to the point to where it just doesn't even really make any sense. Unfortunately, we both, work in this industry. Make pretty decent money to be able to uphold even our mortgage. Which is
But it's changed
Very
because
high.
back in my mom and dad's time, all they needed was one person to make the income
Right.
that they could fully support the whole family.
Right.
Whereas now, we have to have a dual income in order to support the family and to have a house.
That's why there's like places like this where people would like, it's like sections. Like say there's a whole house, or like
Yeah,
well,
like
let's
right
turn-
now it's somebody.
turn this into Airbnb, down there an Airbnb, the balcony an Airbnb. It's all.
Yeah.
What can we turn it into an Airbnb?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
or some kind of rental. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost of living is going up where we are. It's a lot of people moving their way, but I think. Do you think guys? People like move out here just because of the lifestyle and maybe like the opportunity?
Absolutely. And just the land of entertainment. You know what I mean? It's here. For the most part, or as far as where it stemmed from, but so much opportunity, and there is a lot of different opportunity here. As far as different avenues, whether it's social media, whether it's TikTok and whatever. But yeah.
The only thing
It's a lot.
my pet peeve is the traffic.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's it. It took us literally when we got here. It was like supposed to be like maybe 15 miles to get from down where we were to get over here, and it took us an hour.
20. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that's like my only pet peeve.
Yeah.
Like, even if you just want to go to grab something to eat down the road or something, it just takes you 20 minutes just to get there because of traffic and all that. Like, at home, like, you can just hop in your car, go to the store in 5 minutes, get what you need, and then you coming back. It was just
traffic's definitely a thing here. I mean, during COVID, it was really nice because it was like, whoa, freeways are empty.
Man, it was
just so
Nice.
crazy. And then, now it's back. And like, say for instance, when we came here tonight, we took, the freeway going around, like through the mountains, the 210 freeway, just to avoid just the center of LA, the 5 freeway, just the whole.
I'm sorry. When he started naming off freeways, have you guys ever seen the SNL skit?
I don't think I saw it.
Okay, there's an SNL skit called The Californians. And what they'll do is they're all in blonde wigs. They stare themselves in the mirror because they like to look at themselves. And they'll talk about how they got to Silver
That's
Lake.
pretty funny. I didn't even think about
You'll take the 210 to the 5 to the 101 to the 110, and then
Mm.
you'll exit off of Silver Lake, but then you have to turn left on, Glendale to take the 2.
Yeah, it's a funny skit.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth watching.
You guys probably know, like, LA from the back of your hand by now at this point.
Yeah.
You know
Very much so.
everywhere to go.
Especially too from working in the film business, like you go on different locations throughout this whole area and surrounding areas, so you end up really kind of getting a lay of the land, knowing like, oh wait, I'll take this back street over here that nobody really knows about or something,
How close are we from Grand Central? Because that's where we were at last year. Are we close to that now?
Yeah, it's it's just in downtown, so we're City Terrace, so about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
With no traffic, give it.
If it's no traffic. Is there
bad traffic, Like,
is there ever really a time of day where the traffic is like
5 a.m.
and that's it?
Just
pretty much. I mean, when we get on the road, that's a beautiful thing. One of the nice things about this business is usually we have early call times. So you're on the road at 4:35 in the morning, and it's moving. Most people are asleep. Middle of the day, sometimes it definitely lightens up, like noon. Middle of the day.
So if you have to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, you need to leave by 5, 6.
You like, that's the thing. Like if you need to be, like, say if you need to be somewhere in Venice Beach, right, and you live in the valley where we're at, if you don't leave at like 6. If you leave at 6:30, you're really pushing it, because you give yourself an hour and a half to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
You should give yourself 2 hours.
When you should give yourself 2 hours. Yeah.
Just to get to work. Man, I don't know.
And that's the thing what they say about LA, about how much time Angelinos spend in traffic accumulated over, and it's a big part of your life. So you got the good thing now today. There's podcasts and things.
Yeah,
like that.
I need to work from home or something. That way I don't have to worry about all.
Well, that was the cool thing with the COVID, because so many people were now able to work at homes, and like if you had an office job, now like say that little company, they don't need to rent out a building anymore because you got your whole thing set up at home. And now it's like it was pretty still manageable or tolerable after COVID. And then now it's like full force back with traffic.
Right.
Yeah, because I think the kids are back to school.
And the kids
I
are back
think
to school.
that had
Yeah, we just passed a school that was down this way, El Toro or some kind of school that was down that way, on the way back over here.
Yeah.
Speaking of the work that you guys do, how did the writers' strike impact you guys' work? Or did it have any kind of impact on it?
Yeah, the writers and the actors strike.
A lot. It was a big impact. I'll let you.
Well, we were just out of work.
Out of work, yeah.
I've been out of work since the middle of July.
So
for me, it's been April 12th, exactly.
And y'all are still out right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the only thing, once they ratified the contract and they called off the strike, the only thing that really came back were shows that were already in production. Shows that were either already prepping to shoot or shows that were already shooting. So it was that was already a small amount of people, or sorry, a small amount of shows that were already shooting or in prep before the strike. And so now that the strike is over, it's still that small group of people that are going back to work. New shows haven't started yet because the strike was called off so close to the holidays. There's no reason to start up a new show until the new year because, you know, there's the Thanksgiving break and then there's the Christmas New Year's break. You know, usually that's usually like 2 weeks. And so what's the point of getting started, holding an office space or holding a sound stage for those 2 weeks? That's just going to cost money. So let's just start everything in the new year.
Yeah, and then the studio heads, you know, the bigwigs of these big companies, Netflix and all that, you know, like everyone was hopeful, okay, we're gonna come back around September, October, you know, like it wasn't gonna do it, and they just kept it going, you know, and then it gets to the point to where, you know, the holidays are approaching, so there is no point to start up something that's just you're gonna have to shut down.
So what was everybody doing around that time just to make a living? Do you just got to go find a side hustle or?
And savings.
Side hustle. Hope you have a good savings.
Which we did.
And then so I found, you know, it's side gigs. I would, you know, like me being a greensman, I would go and do landscaping jobs, gardening jobs, delivery jobs. Yeah, some
food delivery.
Friend works at a seafood place, so I would deliver fish and, you know, just things that I would cash gigs, you know, because you're getting government assistance as well, you know, like unemployment, which isn't much, you know, but it was. And then that's the thing is like these people that don't have like say a good savings and these, you know, it's a thing, you know, and it leaves people homeless, and you know we have a huge, obviously, homeless crisis here.
So, cause I just knew about it. It was like a strike, but I didn't really understand like what was it about. So, was it just about, you know, they wanted more money? I knew it was something about like the AI, something like that. Like what was it? I know it probably had a lot of different layers to it.
Yeah, it's both, but mainly it was the AI, I would say.
AI
because
residuals was a big
yeah.
thing because the system. So back in the day, when things were, you know, shown over TV or cable, right? Like a company would buy the show and then they'd show it on their channel. But now with the streaming service, that platform really changed the way people consume content now. And so with streaming, these writers and these actors, they weren't getting the residuals that they would traditionally get off of cable and TV, cable TV and what do you call it, where it's like Channel 7, Channel 5, like the basic channels that you would get?
Yeah, just
through
like cable or something?
Just standard.
Standard and
TV.
Cable TV. So
it was leaking through the cracks, kind of, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. You know? That's a great way to say it.
And they weren't getting their pay, you know. So
because the idea is that anytime that the show that they wrote on or the show that they acted in gets televised, they get some kind of money in return because it's called a residual. But with streaming, because they don't share the amount that a show gets clicked on and watched for however many hours, because these companies don't share that information, there's no way for these writers and actors to say, hey, where's
to look at the numbers and see what they would get off of.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, if you hear Guns N' Roses on the radio or Jay-Z, every time you hear that on the radio, they're getting paid, you know. So it's like
with streaming, you know, you wouldn't know how many times it's like somebody clicks on it.
And then with the AI, same thing. It was just like having the rights to
somebody's
you as a person, image and all that, you know. So that was a big thing of what they're going to release or let them have, or you know what agreement, you know. Because once that's signed or whatever, it's like bam, now they got ownership on like say you're artificial intelligence.
And it's not even
And
really
it's
you,
not
but
you.
it's just like a.
But they're like, well, you signed away on this, so that's it. You know?
And you
So-
wouldn't get paid if they use that image of you. Like,
Yeah.
am I correct? Like the AI version of yourself, like you wouldn't get paid off of that.
Correct.
if they use-
That's the
Well,
idea. That's the
yeah.
idea that they came in, they scanned your likeness, they recorded
Right.
your voice, and whatever else they wanted to do. They paid you, and now they own the digital version of you.
the
and they could
digital
use
version.
that in whatever else they wanted
So
to.
that's what they
Oh,
were.
no.
So that was a big thing
No,
of what this whole thing was. Just it was so much more complex
Yeah.
than things than the way it was before the streaming, before all this new technology, you know, and it really complicated things. So, you know, they had to make sure, like say the SAG, like the actors, they had to make sure that they have, you know, what they have, their rights, and you know what they want out of it, you know, before they sign away on something that they're gonna be like, you know, fuck, what do we do, you know?
So as far as you know, did they get pretty much what they wanted out of this new deal?
I think so. I think they were happy with it. I didn't read the contracts, so I don't know.
Same here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the people who went into the negotiations, they were happy with what they came out with
Okay.
after all of this. So
And I guess independent filmmakers, they didn't have anything to worry about, would you say? Like they could still, you know, shoot their own content. Like if you were like an independent filmmaker, those were the ones who still were able to, you know, I guess write plays or produce shows.
they were, as long as they agreed to what SAG, if they were going to use SAG and AFTRA actors, they were able to pursue shooting their content as long as what SAG and AFTRA wanted for their actors. If that makes any sense. I don't know if what I said makes sense, but as long as these independent films, if they're using SAG and AFTRA actors, as long as they agreed to do what SAG and AFTRA wanted them to do, as long as they agreed to treat and pay and handle their actors the way that their union wanted them to handle them, they said, okay, yeah, go ahead. So there was a list of movies that were allowed to continue filming during this strike.
Yeah, and sometimes like if you had like content written prior to the strike, right, then you're able to do that.
Finish it.
Yeah, but if the strike happens, like, you know, and then you can't, you know what I mean? If
You
it's
can't make
after-
anything
Yeah,
after
but if
that.
it's like the first writer's strike in 2008, I believe, I was working on the TV show Ugly Betty
Okay.
with America Ferrera, and so the writers had written scripts that went up to a month, I believe. It was like a month or month and a half of content. And so when everybody was striking and the writers were, you know, they picket out in front of the studios, we were one of the only shows going because the writers had the content. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Or the show had the content.
The show had the content. And then, of course, you know, when you're leaving and you're trying to go do a pickup in a truck, you have to wait there for the writers to, you know, part the sea, if you will. You know, you have to wait. You can't like honk. You can't, you know, like move. You got to just wait till they allow you to go through.
Oh,
Yeah.
so did they give you guys a heads up of letting you know like a strike is coming, or was it just something that was just like out the blue?
No, there was murmurs. There was
No, it
definitely-
was talk.
Yeah, there
Oh
was
yeah,
a lot of
you
talk
hear
before
about
yeah.
it for sure. You're like, oh, you hear about the strike? I mean, the words.
Yeah,
travels fast.
even the amount of shows that should have been in production, let's say in February and March, it was drastically low.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually let's say in February and March, let's say I get asked to do, typically on average, I get a call to do a show like 4 times, right? I'll get a call. And whether I'm working or if I'm available, I'll say yes or no. But this time around, I got like no calls. So that, which means that there was no shows starting up, which means that all these producers or these studios, mostly these studios, were suspecting that there was going to be a strike. So what's the point of starting up a show if there's going to be a strike? It just means more money. We have to hold on to this, soundstage. We have to hold on to the sets, and so.
Yeah.
So you were pretty much kind of like, I guess, prepared for it in a sense because you went through it back in 2008, correct?
Yeah, the first one,
Yeah.
that was the first writer strike, and that strike, from what I remember, only lasted about 3 to 4 months. So that's what I was anticipating. I was like, oh, okay, we're going on strike, cool. It'll be 3-4 months. We'll be back to work, but not this
How long
year.
was this? Was this one early this year, or has it been over a year?
I've been since April 12th was my last day of work, so it's been April.
I was
It's
eight
almost
months.
8 months, yeah.
Yeah, it's 8
So
months.
definitely, in my career time, I haven't experienced something like this.
So heading into next year, you guys are prepared to get back to work now? Have they gave you like a startup date, or you just kind of like still?
So I think this is where our career, even though we're employed by, the studios or whatever, this is like where our entrepreneurial comes into play.
Yeah.
Because we get W-4s or W-2s at W-2s at the end of the year, but what we get, like what shows we work on, depends on our networking, our ability to go hunt for jobs and opportunities.
Right.
And so,
like, even though we belong to a union, Local 44, right? That's the crafts, special effects, props. If you were an actor, you needed a gun. You know what I mean? Like all these things.
so
That's
essentially
we still go out and source out
Yeah.
our own work, But I mean, the union sometimes helps us find work too. Like if somebody calls in, hey, I need a set decorator, like they could call us, but essentially we find our own
So
through our own contacts.
there is no set date that we're going to go back to work, but
Right.
there is talk that new shows will be starting up in February. So in February, March, we should be able to find something
Find
to
some kind of work.
Yes, some
Okay.
kind of work to jump.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does that make you, but I guess you guys are already doing it, like kind of like lean more towards like the entrepreneurial route because like you create your own opportunity. But I guess you kind of answered it already. It's like, being able to have those contacts and those connections for work. But I guess it's nothing like you can really. I guess you just have to wait until pretty much you have to really wait till something comes open. You can't just like build a set or whatever and just say, hey, you can buy this or anything like it doesn't work that way. I'm assuming.
No, it's like so for me, I got called to do a VW commercial last week, but I'm not, just wasn't ready to jump ship yet, But I got another one lined up for January 3rd coming up here. So to answer your question, I got work coming up for an investment company commercial called T. Rowe Price.
Okay. Yep. I know.
May have heard of it, but yeah. So
Yeah, that's what my job, Costco. They were this 401k plan was through.
okay. Yeah. So I'll be doing that, and it's a bigger commercial. So, and like you get a calendar, and it said, we got a few locations, some in downtown, and then there's some sand dunes somewhere. So we'll probably go out to the desert somewhere. So, but yeah, it's like kind of just a waiting game, where so we get that call,
All right. So just a few more questions, and we'll get ready to wrap it up. If it was any other career that you could choose, each of you could choose, what do you think it would be outside of the work that you do?
I think I would be a nurse.
A nurse?
Yeah, that's what I was going to pursue when I dropped pre-med. So I think I still have a passion for helping others and in the medical field. So.
Good question. Professional fisherman.
They make a lot of money though.
I don't know. I even think about it from my later time in life. Maybe a fly fishing guide, something like that. Yeah.
Do y'all have a lot of places where you can go fishing out here? Like, got some.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got mountain fishing. You few hours in, or you go to the ocean. There's definitely. Plenty of fishing. Just got to drive a little bit, to just get out of the city.
Well, that's the beauty of California or even Los Angeles is you can drive an hour, 45 minutes and go snowboarding or skiing.
Yeah.
And then drive another 2 hours and then you'll be at the beach
You go snowboarding and surfing in the same day.
Yeah.
I didn't even correlate, snow in California and snow in California together because I always just think it was just always warm.
Palm trees and sunshine. Like this mountain range that you see from this view back here. Last winter we had such a cold winter, and there was so much snow in the mountains just right here. Like you could literally drive on the freeway that we took, and just go 40 minutes and be into the snow.
Yeah.
So even when the winters or when the storms come, like this year, like same thing, But last year it was there was a lot of really great pictures taken of downtown, and then you just see the whole mountains in the background with the snow.
Yeah,
I mean it was thick.
We get a little bit of everything in South Carolina. You're gonna get some hot weather. It's gonna get cold. It won't get freezing cold. It's like 10 below or anything like that, but it might.
Cold enough.
Cold enough, yeah. Definitely cold enough for me. Sometimes it may get down into the teens, but most of the time it's 20s or 30s in the wintertime.
Where were we in South Carolina? We were in
South Carolina.
Oh, we were in North Carolina.
Were we? I don't know.
No, for my birthday that one time.
We were in Savannah.
Savannah,
Georgia.
Yeah.
Savannah.
Never mind.
Savannah's probably about 4 hours from where we are.
Okay.
It's about 4 hours. But Savannah is nice as well though. Yeah, I've been down there several times. Had a really good time.
Savannah we had a good time. It was cool.
Absolutely. What other? Let's say my final few questions. What advice would you give for someone that are pursuing their dreams? What advice would you guys have for them?
Stay focused and do it. Just believe in yourself. I mean that's it.
Yeah, I think the advice I would give them is akin to like working out every day, right? Is to just get out of bed.
Make your bed.
Number one.
That's the first thing I do. I mean, it just sets the day. Like I don't know this.
Yeah. Get out of bed. Put your feet on the floor and just put one foot in front of the other and just do the work. And it's for me, I'm not a very religious person, but it's always about having faith in yourself. Absolutely. In that when it gets hard, just put that one foot in front of the other and just take one step at a time and you'll get there. Because with the entertainment industry or the film industry, it's a lot of nepotism, and
that's how I got it.
It's a lot of if you know someone, then you can do it. But I'm a testament to you can do it even if you don't know anybody. Yeah. I got into the industry, and in my opinion, I have a very successful career, a career where I'm at the point where I want to be. At this point, it's not where I want to be in the end, but at this point, this is where I want to be, and it's possible. You can do it. If I can do it.
Yeah, she's a prime example of that for sure. Because my dad, he was in this business like his whole life as a youngster too, and he got me in. He's like, hey, just made some things happen, and it was nepotism. But I was a young kid, so I can't. I'd say, oh, my dad got me in, but I can't completely discount it because I did get the job, but I did keep it. And I put in that work and made it happen, and made sure to set my alarm and get to work, and so something to be said for that. So
would you guys recommend people moving out here to LA? Because a lot of times when we hear about California, you of course you hear bad policies, and then you just see how expensive it is. And just different things like that. But would you still say, hey, if you guys have a dream or passion, come out here and you can still make it out here in LA? Because we hear so much about it, and then we see people leave from the West Coast and just come over here, and some of the main things they tell us, like just the cost of living and just stuff like that. Would you? And of course taxes as well. It's another thing.
It's so funny because I think about that sometimes. Like I think about my career and it's just, do I need to be here in LA to pursue the career and the level that I want to achieve? And you know, most of the time I turn back to the answer is no, I don't need to be here in LA to pursue this career and to be at the level that I want to achieve, because there's so many other cities in LA, or sorry, other than LA that offer filming, where you can achieve those career goals in other cities. Like Boston's one of them. New Orleans is definitely another one. Atlanta is a huge one.
Oh, Atlanta is
I
booming.
mean, they have their
where we
own
are.
Pinewood studio there, but Marvel,
Yeah.
I believe Marvel owns.
New Mexico is up and coming. Las Vegas is another one that is gonna, in my opinion, be another boom town for film.
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my answer would be no. Look elsewhere, because like you said, our policies, our cost of living is just, it's ridiculous. And and then not only that, it's just it's the resources that we have, like in terms of infrastructure and water and power. I mean, there's just so many people here that I start to question, are we gonna have enough water for everybody? Because we have to bring water in. It's not like we have a source of water here in Southern California. We have to bring it in from the Colorado River. So I would say
I
no.
never even thought about something
Yeah.
like
But as far as, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, the land of entertainment, the land of just like, you know, you think of, say, just like an actor from the Midwest that made it, you know, to Hollywood stardom or whatever. Like, this is the place, like, you know, with those dreams, like, man, if I could just make it to LA and I'll sleep in my car and I'll, you know, just grind and do my thing. I mean, there's so much here. So, and then, like I said, all the different avenues of social media and this and that, like, you know, so move to LA. I mean, sure, why not? You know, I mean, it's like people, like you always hear, like, you know, other states kind of clowning on California, or that, you know, this and that. At the end of the day, California is pretty dope.
Nice.
You know,
It is a nice
it's
place.
a great place.
Like,
And it's progressive.
Yeah.
Like, people want to go, you know, say, oh, they're wacky laws. It's like, well, you know, you could say that about a lot of different places, but it's like there's so much opportunity here. So
And
many
let's
different
talk about
things,
the
you know?
food.
Oh, yeah.
The food that we have here in LA is amazing. I mean, New Orleans has amazing food. Amazing food.
Really
but
good.
I feel like in LA, you can get the most authentic food that you would find in Thailand,
Oh, yeah.
in Ethiopia, in India. Like, across the board, all around the world, I feel like you can find authentic food here.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
go to want Ethiopian food,
Yeah.
just go over to down
Little
to
Ethiopia.
Go to Little Ethiopia, Fairfax. You want, you know what I mean? Like, they got it all. You want authentic Thai food? Boom, right there in Hollywood. You know, so
Armenian,
there's so much
Persian,
to this place has to offer. You know, so.
Cause I'm a sports guy. So sports for me, if I were to ever move out this way, it would definitely have to be. I want to do something. Of course, continue building the podcast and building the brand, but also being tied in with sports as well.
Yeah, of
Mainly
course.
football and basketball, because that's even in South Carolina. I drive a little, just over an hour to Charlotte to cover the Hornets, so I'm still having that kind of connection. But just having my roots still tied to sport, that would be the big.
I mean, we
thing
have
for
20
me.
different teams that you
It's a
can,
lot of
you can cover.
Yeah. And the other thing though, I will say, like my coworkers that left from over here on the West Coast and moved to South Carolina, they would say things like, we used to rent out, like I was saying about the part where they used to rent out their rooms in their home. Oh, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to live on my own, where I got my own kids and everything. And as long as I can do that and maintain, man, I wouldn't mind it. Of course, Atlanta's been another place that I think about, because they got the Hawks and the Atlanta Falcons is a great market for entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
I like Charlotte too, but a bigger market, I think, for what I'm doing. So it's been up in the air for me. It's just a lot that I've been thinking about. Plus, I've been born and raised in South Carolina. Been there my whole life.
Home is home.
Yeah, it's always home. But I was like, man, I really want to look at. And then just being out here, man, it's like, it feels good just to say, man, I'm out in LA, man. It's nice weather and everything, man. It just, I really do like it out here. It's just, you know, I know it's just up to me, you know, to just make that next step and just keep on going. But definitely LA is out. The 2 times that I've been here last year and this year, it's left a great impression on me.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's cool,
glad.
man. Yeah.
My last and final question that I like to ask everyone as we wrap up this interview, when we travel the country interviewing entrepreneurs and they come on and share their journey, at the end I love to ask everyone, what does self-investment mean to you?
I'm gonna have you go first. Do you want me to go
Yeah,
first?
I'll let you
So
go
you can
first.
think about what you're gonna say
exactly.
and maybe pull from what I say.
Maybe just a little bit.
So self-investment means to me is putting not just money but time and energy in myself to become a better version of myself. Because if I want to help other people, it's more important that I help myself first. Because if I'm not in a good place and I'm not in a position to be able to help give somebody guidance, then what's the point?
Right.
What's the worth? Like a hurt person can't help a hurt person. Only a person who has invested in themselves and taken care of themselves can help other people. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah. What she said. Pretty much. I mean, you know, you got to be in a, you know, good headspace and take care of yourself, and you know, to be able to give back and to people, and as an example, you know, and to be a leader, you know, especially with somebody like, say, in our position, like if you're in a department head, for instance, right? Like, which I am a lot with my profession. You know, you got to be a leader, and you got to, you know, be an example of how to be, and to be, you know, just solid, you know, and just to take initiative,
Don't get me wrong, self-investment is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard because sometimes what you have to do is you have to do the hard thing to feel better about yourself. Like, for example, I've been working on our front yard, you know, and I've been doing the irrigation, and I've been doing the hardscaping and the pavers
the greens person.
and all of that. And it's hard. It is hard. But it was a form of self-investment because what I came out of it is I feel so proud of myself.
Yeah, for just doing the work.
Yes, I did the work. I woke up not wanting to do it. I did not want to do it. I complained about it to my husband, but I went out and I did it. And now at the end, now that we're almost done, I am so proud of myself. And that is self-investment. It's doing the hard things sometimes.
Absolutely.
That just having that belief, you know, it's like, it made me think of, I did the marathon in 2018, and you know, just to put in that work, like when you didn't want to go running after a 12-hour day, like put on your shoes, you know, see how, and just go and just do it and have that, and just that belief, and I never even thought in a million years that I would do something like that, you know, and I did,
But
and it was just like, it was about that. It was about building up. Okay, I did 6 miles. Now I did 8 miles, and you know what I mean. You know,
You kept pushing yourself.
yourself. And
It's like Nike's motto.
And just
do it.
And don't let the voices in your head, you know, cloud your mind of not having that success, and you know.
Absolutely, or having any type of doubt or anything.
Right.
That's the worst demon of all.
It is
that self-doubt.
Right.
That is the
I've
worst.
had that plenty of times.
Yeah.
It's been times where, like, as an entrepreneur, it can be like a lonely journey at times, and then sometimes I have days like when I'm driving up to the Hornets game and I'm in the car by myself. You sure you want to keep doing this? You sure you on the right path?
Yeah.
Even if it's just for like a little slight moment, it's just like those things. But then it's just always like a sign from God. God just continues to send me like confirmation. Just like I've been telling people, like the story of the young man who came up to me at the first Hornets game this year, and he saw me dressed up, and he was just like, excuse me, sir, can you give me some advice on how I can be in your position one day?
Wow.
So stuff
Yeah.
like that, even on those moments
That's so
where I
cool.
question things, it's just like, and then people would see me that working in the arena, and they was like, hey, who you work for? And Mr. McGee, we interviewed earlier, he told me not to say that. He told me how to correct what I was saying. Because I used to say, I work for myself, but he just told me to correct it, say I'm the owner of Cross the Line Network instead of just I work for
Perfect.
myself.
Yeah.
Instead of, so people know,
Yeah.
that I am a business owner.
Yeah.
But those people in the arena will ask me like, are you hiring? Stuff like that, because they're looking for me to give them an opportunity.
Sure.
So I'm very humbled by that. So
Absolutely.
even when I had those moments of doubt,
Flattering and
Yeah.
it brings the humbleness. As
it
well.
is, and it makes me feel good. So that even when I have those moments, stuff like that is just what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we wind this interview down, Billy and Lisa, I really appreciate y'all for the
Oh,
time.
thank you.
Man, this was
Thank
a
you,
great
Carlos.
conversation.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank y'all
Thank
so
you
much.
for having us.
Absolutely. Before we get out of here, can y'all tell everyone how to find y'all on social media, or do you want to just give them a word of encouragement, whichever one you like to
I'm
do?
not really on social media. Oh God, I'm aging myself, aren't I?
Yeah, you are on social media. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My @ is @BillyMitchell_78. So yeah, if you want to give me a follow, go ahead, and appreciate it.
Yeah. And my word of encouragement is, do the hard thing.
Yeah.
That's what it is sometimes.
Absolutely, and that's a perfect way to end it. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Billy. I'm so glad we met last year,
Yeah.
man, and we stayed connected. And we're always gonna be connected now. So
That's
thank
right,
you
bro.
so much.
Absolutely.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Peace.